All right, guys, what the hell? I'm going to give her. This is the NHL Standings Prediction for 2019-2020. And I got to say, a couple of these divisions are a bunch of shit shows, especially the Metro Division, which I couldn't, for the life of me, really predict other than to say Washington and Columbus are first and eighth, respectively. But looking at it, holy crap, is the Metro just like a wild card. Anybody's guess, really. Some people could say have a good argument to say New Jersey and New York are going to make it to the playoffs. Really, that all depends on their goaltending. New Jersey with Scott Blackwood and Schneider. You know what? If they can pull it off, the likes of Hall being healthy as ever, and Simmons maybe a bounce back year, PK helping out that blue line, maybe New Jersey can squeeze in. But as it stands on paper, I'm putting them at number 7. The Rangers, they had a fantastic offseason. We're talking Temi Panarin, Jacob Trouba, which they got, they basically fleeced Winnipeg from. And then the likes of Capo Caco, holy crap. I forgot to mention Jack Hughes in the Devils, holy crap. Like these two teams, I'm putting them as stars because they can very well just like jump up into the playoffs if they really wanted to. It really just comes down to their goaltending. Philly, you know what? There's a lot of people saying that Philly's gonna make it to the playoffs. I disagree. That's because other teams have way better defense and way better stats in terms of like course. Granted, yes, their Corsi, their stats, and all that kind of stuff is from last season, so we're predicting from last season and the following season. But like, really, Philly has problems with their defense. Yeah, Carter Hart is going to be a good goaltender in a couple of years from now, and probably an Olympic goaltender if they're the NHL still does the Olympics and all that. But I'm looking at it going like, look, they only added Kevin Hayes. I traded Robert Gudas, whatever his name is, Radko Gudas. So for Niskanen, I don't know if that was a great trade for them. But I'm looking at all these other teams, and they have some intangibles that I think give them a little bit more upside. You know what, judging by these 2 to 3, 4, I don't like putting them there, frankly, because I don't think that they're actually that good compared to like every other division. I mean, looking at Pittsburgh as number 2 is just a bit embarrassing to put on there because I don't like the look of what Pittsburgh's got for them this year. I think they kind of like didn't like. I mean, okay, if people say that Phil Kessel was a cancer, that's debatable. We don't really know the situation. Yeah, okay, maybe to Jim Rutherford he was, but I don't know, man. Like, let's be real here. Pittsburgh's still a good team, always going to be on the cusp of making it to the playoffs or not, but they didn't really do much. In fact, I think with the loss of Oli Mata is also going to hurt them. But I mean, Carolina, they lost McElhinney. And McElhinney was a great backup, and arguably was kind of like a starter, especially in the playoffs and all. But Carolina didn't lose too much, other than also Michael Furlan. Now that I think about it, but they added Dzingel, to compensate. Yeah, Dzingel's not the same kind of player or whatever, but he's still a good third line winger. The Islanders still have Barry Trotz. Barry Trotz is one hell of a coach, and he took like basically the worst defensive team in one season to number 1 in terms of defensive goals against. Will they be able to replicate that now with Semyon Varlamov and with Robin Leonard gone? I don't know, but as it stands now, that's kind of just how I have it set. I'm kind of a bit more confident in Carolina than I am in the Islanders because the Islanders need scoring. Carolina has a little bit more scoring than they do. Pittsburgh, you know what? Honestly, these from 7 to 2, it can go basically anywhere. Pittsburgh can drop. Carolina can drop. Jersey can go up. It's such a random conference or division that I'm just like, you know what? Forget about it. Like it's just looking at it, and you know what? If you rip on me and you one for putting these kind of teams, where they are, and hey man, your guess is as good as mine for all as I am concerned. I'm gonna go in somewhere where it's not so controversial, and I'm gonna go with the Pacific. Let's go there because like that's gonna be an easier time to predict than the Metro. Vegas, I got in the number 1 team because basically Vegas has arguably the best lineup in terms of their top 6 out of all these teams in the Pacific. Plus their defense is steady, and plus Marc-Andre Fleury is their goalie. Steady team, and I think they're going to be like probably the best team in the West. Nashville and Colorado are still going to be there, but they're going to have just such a better time fighting these teams, because I think from Vegas onwards it's just a big drop, especially compared to the Central. So San Jose and Calgary, I had them like, flipping between the two. Okay, who's going to be better? Who's going to be worse? I kind of like Martin Jones better than Calgary's goaltending in Rittich and in Cam Talbot. Yeah, they lost Pavelski, good leadership, 38 goals and all, but by the looks of it, I think San Jose, on paper, is slightly better. I don't really like Calgary as much as say the Hockey News has them again at first in the West, like they predicted. So good for them, but Mike Smith's not there, Cam Talbot's not there. They were exposed in the playoffs by Colorado. Will that affect them? I don't know, but I'm just looking at it, going like, yeah, they're a playoff team. There's only going to be 3 teams in the Pacific that are going to make it to the playoffs, and I think Calgary just sneaks in. Yeah, they're just a little bit better. They're, frankly, in my opinion, they're just slightly better than the likes of Arizona and Vancouver, enough to make it to the playoffs. But now I'm going to just talk about Arizona, because Arizona did a good job in the offseason. They picked up Phil Kessel, and I think it's going to be a game changer for them, because of the fact that, okay, yeah, they're going to be still 4th, but like their attendance is through the roof now in terms of their sales and all that, and that's because of Phil Kessel coming in. They have a marquee kind of guy, star player, really good, driving up the hype in Arizona. This is the first time you're seeing these kind of sales since 2003, 2004. They needed that offense, and Clayton Keller, on the left wing, he wasn't, had a bit of a sophomore slump, but you know what? I think he can give her. And Darcy Kemper and Antti Ranta, great goaltending combo right there. I was having Vancouver above Arizona, but I switched that when I realized Antti Ranta was just like, he was injured, and frankly, I think he's gonna have like a terrific year next year. Derek Stepan and the rest of the crew, they're going to be, pretty decent. Not to mention, they added Carl Soderberg from Colorado. You know what? I have to say, Arizona did a good job in the offseason and improved their offense. Vancouver, Vancouver, I was also arguing if they're going to be 4th. They have a really good team. JT Miller is a heck of a pickup. I really like that. Tyler Myers is a good pickup for their defense. It's really a toss-up. I could see either one of these teams making it to that 3rd spot and then Calgary slipping down, or even San Jose slipping down, but like, your guess is as good as mine. But you know what, frankly, I'm going to put it on paper now. Let's put it on this video now that Vancouver is going to be 5th. Yeah, I really like their pickups, but they're just not there yet. I think their goaltending just still needs some work. I like Arizona's goaltending more than I like Vancouver's offense. And Vancouver's offense, by the looks of like the certain kind of prospects like Elias Pettersson and Brock Besser, it looks good, but you look at the stats and it's just like, could be better. Then you're looking at Edmonton, Anaheim, Los Angeles. Oh, like, forget it, guys. Like, these teams are in the doghouse. They're basically a dumpster fire right now. Just like, holy shit. Like, what do we do here? Edmonton's just stuck. They got nothing going. I'm gonna see. You're gonna start hearing McDavid making, there's probably rumors that he wants to leave and all that, because like, there's no busting into the playoffs with this team. I'm sorry. If it happens, good for them. I'm all happy for them, because I just, Edmonton, it's just depression right now. Anaheim's just old, and they lost Corey Perry. Corey Perry's not like the most important kind of player, but getting old. LA can't score for the life of them, So yeah, now I'm going to go into Central, and Central is a bit of a shit show, but in an opposite sense of Metro, because of the fact that how competitive the Central has been the past few years, and I'm loving it. It's great. But let's just start with the teams that didn't make the cut. Minnesota is just like, basically they're stuck because of like the likes of Parise and Suter, and I'm not. It's just they're not going anywhere really. They're just stuck at 7th, and what can you do, especially against the Central, that the way that they have it set up? What are you gonna do? Chicago's pretty good team. But again, they can't crack that playoff spot, and I think that trade for Alexander Nylander was like for that defenseman. I forgot now, but they need defense, and they they have like the likes of Brent Seabrook and Duncan Keith who are aging. Like like Brett is just not. It's not going to be enough to make the playoffs. I think Winnipeg shit the bed in the off season by the looks of like the loss of Trouba. Yeah, okay, Brendan Morrissey, fantastic defenseman, underrated and all that, and Dustin Byfuglien, steady on the back end. But Tyler Myers is gone, and Trouba, and no Brandon Tanev. Yeah, and they still have to sign the guys that they need. I'm taking this in the perspective of like all the RFAs have signed onto the team, so like yeah, okay, if Toronto doesn't sign Mitch Marner in time, maybe Boston takes over, whatever, that kind of shebang. But let's just take it from the perspective like all the RFAs have signed, like Linus, re-signed with Winnipeg, the Connor kid and all that. Everybody's re-signed, right? Winnipeg, it's just not looking good for them this year. And I think just the other teams are better because Dallas, they added the likes of Pavelski and Barry, which was just like, thank you. They needed that secondary scoring, especially against that last game against St. Louis in the playoffs. I mean, they basically left Ben Bishop out to dry. What the hell? You know what? It's very much like an argument between Dallas and St. Louis. I had like who's gonna take it. I have a better feeling for St. Louis just because of how really incredible of a job that both Bennington and Berube had in terms of coaching to turn that team around, and they're Stanley Cup champions. Like, what are you gonna say? But it's argued. Dallas had a fantastic offseason with the likes of Pavelski and Perry, but hey, you know what? It really comes down to Bennington, and I think it really comes down to when it comes to these three teams. Yeah, I have them a bit higher in terms of like these guys, even though that these guys have more questionable goaltending. But on paper, if they were to perform the way that they do, these teams are better. So we're talking like the likes of Grubauer in Colorado, and like I really like the pickup like Colorado did when it came to Nazem Kadri. They have him for another 3 years at $4.5 million. Like pretty fantastic stuff. Yeah, okay, they had to lose Tyson Berry, but Gale McCarr, oh boy, that kid, man, that kid can fly. And they have no shortage in great defensemen in Colorado, and I think just their second second line with Kadri and all is going to help them out. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a complete player for them. Is he gonna? He's way better suited than in Toronto was as a third liner. So like he's gonna fit in beautifully as a second line center. But you know what? I do like Colorado's chances in the playoffs more than Nashville, but I have Nashville higher up. It really comes down with Nashville to Pecorine, and because Nashville's picked up Matt Duchene. They're gonna have a great offensive year this year, and at the same time, Roman Yossi and their defense, they're doing well and all that. They got rid of PK, which was a slight negative. He didn't have that great of a year. But that didn't stop Nashville from having a fantastic year this year or last year. And also, I'll put Nashville again at number one. But it comes down to Pecorine, and he is kind of getting older. Yeah, they got some decent backup goaltenders and all in Nashville. But is he too good right now? That's the question, especially in the playoffs. So yeah, it was a flip between Nashville and Colorado. I mean, I really wish to put a Colorado up there. But I'm gonna, at number one, but I'm gonna just be a little bit conservative about that and just put it in at second. All right, so now let's go to the Atlantic, and this is like, all right, this is I think basically almost everybody has it in this order. Maybe some people have like Florida and Boston flipped or Montreal and Buffalo flipped, but like basically this has kind of been like cemented. So yeah, you got your Tampa, and Tampa, they're still a good team, even though with the losses of the likes of like JT Miller and Anton Strawman, they even picked up Shattenkirk for cheap. Maroon was also a recent pickup. This team is still going to be stable. Are they going to get 60 wins like they did last year? I don't think so. I think they were very much exposed by Columbus, so they're going to have to adjust some things, but they're not going to be as good as they were last year. They're going to be a bit on their heels, especially after 4-0 sweep in Columbus, Ohio. Are you kidding me? Don't look at that just yet. I'll get to that in just a second, but I think Toronto, when it comes to top teams in the NHL who improve the most, okay, yeah, sure, you could say Nashville, you could say Colorado, you can, I think Toronto, though, when it comes to like the most improved teams, Toronto as a top team improved the most because what did they do? They got rid of all their liabilities. Look at it. Look at it. Okay. So yeah, Marlowe was a bit of I wouldn't say he's a liability, but like let's look at their problems. Defense, defense, and defense. So Ron Hainsey's gone, Jake Gardner's gone, and Nikita Zaitsev is gone. Like pylons and pylons and pylons, basically. An older pylon, a pylon that likes to give away the puck, and a pylon that was a minus 22 at times. So on a 7-year contract, nonetheless. Well, what did they do? They picked up Tyson Barrie, right-handed defenseman, right defenseman, and all that. Yeah, okay, they added Cody Ceci, whatever. But the likes of Spezza is now on the team and all, and maybe gives them a little bit of stability in the fourth line compared to Gauthier. This is not a bad team. On paper, look at the defense. Riley, Muzzin, Barrie. Okay, Ceci, maybe you'll have a bounce back year because he was playing in Ottawa, for crying out loud. So maybe you'll have a good year. It's like, damn, son. Like, yeah, I kind of am a bit concerned about the left wing side because I'm not 100% on Janssen being like, their top left winger, and neither is like Hyman and whoever else they have. But I think, this is going to be a decent team. They got Kerfoot. I like Kerfoot. That was a good pickup, especially compared to the likes of Kadri for the third line center position. I think maybe he'll be center, maybe he'll be left. Who knows what'll happen. But yeah, I like their team. It also likes of picking up Ben Harpur and Jordan Schmaltz. Yeah, I know. I'm talking all about Toronto. Toronto's my team, and I have them as champions. So whoop-de-doo, go, basically go suck at, whatever. Let's have some fun here. Be biased. Who's picking the Leafs as the champions? Only me. You know what? I want to have some bragging rights when that happens. Just letting you guys know. Okay, ring number 14 is coming up, boys. So, okay, now we have Boston. And Boston really didn't do much. They lost Marcus Johansson, but they didn't need Marcus Johansson to be a good team like they did last year. I think, Toronto just jumps a little bit of the hump because of how impressive of an offseason they have. Okay, yeah, they need a little bit of physicality, but frankly, they didn't really need that to be as good of a team as they were last year. And they showed their physicality in the playoffs. But regardless, I'm going to stop talking about Toronto. Let's get to Boston. Boston's still a good team. Chara's getting old. But who talks about Chara when you have the perfection line? You got Charlie McAvoy, Tuukka Rask, they have a great team, honestly. I hate to say it, but like these ugly folks in Boston, they got just a fantastic team. I can't argue with the fact that, they made it to the Stanley Cup Finals. They're a heck of a team. They're annoying to play against, and the freaking DeBrusque kid, I just want to smack them. But, still a heck of a team. Didn't change much. They didn't need to. They're still going to be a good team. I put them as third. I know some people have them as fourth, but, everybody has them in the playoffs for sure. Florida did a hell of a job. I mean, Joel Quenneville, I think, is not talked about as much as Bobrovsky, but we're talking about like Joel Quenneville, 3-time Stanley Cup champion with Stanley Bowman. Hey, Bobrovsky is a heck of a pickup as well. Goaltending is going to be steady in Florida, and they have a good unit in Florida. Like, nobody talks about Barkov. Holy crap, is Barkov like one of the most underrated centers in the league right now. I mean, like, holy jumping. I put him as like, sometimes I think like, holy shit, is this guy like Malkin? Like basically in the sense of like nobody talks about him, but he's like that good, basically. Holy shit. And I really like Ekblad. I think Ekblad's still going to be a good defenseman for them. And he had like injuries over the past few years, but they're going to turn it up this year. I think everybody has Montreal at number 5. And unfortunately, Montreal just hasn't really, Kakanyemi and everybody, Max Domi and all, they're good players, but they're not putting it and getting it above that hump. But they're still a good team. They're still a team to watch out for, especially as well as Buffalo. Holy jump. And Buffalo is just like, they picked up some good players. I like the likes of their Colin Miller guy that they picked up. And they have a couple of more good, defensemen in Dahlin and Ristolainen. Holy crap. Like, that's, watch out for them in a couple of years. And I think Carter Hutton, he's like, their goalie is just like, he's going to be he's still a stud. So, I have him as a star because I think, if anything, they could jump up to 4th, but not anything like these top 3. These top 3 are kind of steady. But they're just a team to watch out for. Just don't underestimate them. Eichel could turn it around, probably, but I don't really like Eichel. Just saying, I don't think he's that good. I don't think he was worth $10 million a year. Holy crap, was that an overpayment? But I hate playing against him. He is a freaking stud, absolute beauty. But yeah, Detroit, Ottawa. There's no reason to even talk about because you know where they're going. A rebuild. I mean, Detroit's got Yzerman. That was the best pickup that they had made. So, all right. So let's just talk about who's making the finals and the both sides of the conferences. So here we go. We got Washington here and we got Toronto. And the reason why for that is because Washington is just better than everybody here, and better than Florida for that matter. If they have to fight Florida for the wild card and all that. They really didn't do much in the offseason, but they didn't lose anybody in particular that makes me go, oh, I'm so scared of, as a Washington fan, I'm not a Washington fan. I'm just saying, like, if I was a Washington fan, not going to be too worried. They made it to the finals, about a year ago, so, and they won it. So they have that, that experience and all that. And so it makes me go, like, look, compared to everybody else, everybody is pretty vulnerable. Yeah, okay, the Carolina Washington thing was a fluke, in my opinion. Whatever, that pissed me off, and I had to make predictions in the playoffs that year. So yeah, I have Washington, and then I have Toronto because I just think that Toronto, with what they had done in the offseason, is just enough that they're gonna move that hump. I think Gardner was just such a liability at times, and the likes of Zaitsev was a liability. Hainsey was a liability. Okay, yeah, they need help a little bit with their penalty kill and all that, but let's be real here, bros. It's just like Toronto, Boston. They're gonna have the home ice advantage. Toronto takes it in 6 or 7, and then they're gonna fight Tampa. Toronto's just a better matchup right now against Boston, even though they have very similar teams that they were. I think just with the defensive help. Yeah, okay, Tyson Berry may not be like that exact thing you needed, but you didn't need Zaitsev and Gardner. Okay, Zaitsev and Gardner had a better playoff run than they did, generally speaking, than we expected, but, Kadri's not going to get suspended, and I think, Babcock, has a radar on his head right now because he's got to perform, he's got to get things done, so... Anyways, Tampa, Toronto then plays each other, and I think Toronto has their number because I think they're actually a better team defensively, and the penalty, yeah, okay, Vasilevsky and, I mean, just imagining Stamkos, Vasilevsky, and Kucherov and all that, yeah, it's going to be a bit of a toughie, but, Columbus took them out. So I'm not discounting Tampa Bay, but, Tampa's got that, little asterisk right beside them and just be like, oh, we're vulnerable. Basically, anything can happen in the playoffs, and last year showed it. And hey, I think Toronto, if they can knock off Boston, they got a monkey off their shoulder. They're gonna take themselves like they, Vancouver did a couple of years back. Finally knocking out the likes of Chicago. What was LA and Chicago? Holy jumping, that was a menace. And so I think Toronto's gonna do that, and they're gonna take the momentum onto Tampa, and then they're going to play Washington, and then it's going to be redemption and the fact that they're going to beat Boston. They're going to beat the best team in the Atlantic, which everybody just wanted them to finally play Tampa and whatever. And then a couple of years back, they lost to Washington. They're going to beat Washington because I think the Atlantic, the top three, is actually probably a little bit more comparable than Washington. Depends on Braden Holtby, but looking at it, I think Anderson just needs some, a little bit of a break. I think they did well when it came to picking up or getting Hutchinson earlier on that year. But they need to give Frederik Anderson a bit of rest, evidently, because in the playoff season, it's questionable at times, just in the sense of he needs the rest. It's not to say that he's a bad goalie. He's a top 5 goalie in the NHL, but he needs that rest, especially if you want to go for a deep playoff run, as we've seen. So now let's talk about the Pacific and the Central. So I have Colorado making it over because I think Nashville. I think the playoffs will hurt Nashville in the sense of it's another long run, and then Pekka Rinne is not gonna do so well, and it's gonna hurt them, and then Colorado can just expose them again. I mean, I'll be real with you. So what? It'll be like what? Vegas versus Winnipeg. Vegas takes Winnipeg. San Jose takes Calgary. You got the likes of how does this work? Yeah, I'll go Dallas versus Nashville. I'll take Nashville, and then Colorado versus St. Louis. You take Colorado any day for sure, for sure. Just a much better lineup, and then Colorado will beat Nashville, and then Vegas will beat whoever, San Jose, who it is. But then it'll be Vegas versus Colorado. I think Vegas just as a steadier team, steady on the rudder. Frankly, it's just a much better team than Colorado, and I like McKinnon. I like Mikko Rantanen. Holy crap, is he good? Wow, is he good? And Gabriel Landeskog. Damn, son, they have a good team. But Vegas, like Pacioretty, Mark Stone, Paul Stastny, and William Karlsson just kills it. And I think Fleury is just better than all these goalies. Fleury basically carried that team the past few seasons. So I think Vegas will do themselves justice, and they're going to be back in the finals. It's crazy, but a lot of people have Vegas in the finals. So yeah, Vegas will be in the finals, and then Toronto plays Vegas, and I actually think that Toronto will win. I think Toronto will win. I think Austin Matthews will turn it up a notch, and the same thing with John Tavares. Just like, holy crap, these are good studs. And we're talking Morgan Riley. Probably, if you look at the matchup between all these teams, the Atlantic is the best between all of them. I mean, we're talking, Tampa, Toronto, Boston. Basically, the only comparable in the Metro would be Washington. The only comparables in the Central would be Nashville and Colorado. St. Louis, but may have been a fluke. Just saying. And then San Jose and Calgary had some losses, and it's just Vegas. So what can you say? I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 teams. Toronto will be in the top 7 teams in the NHL for sure. Yeah, okay, New York had their number last year, but I don't think that's going to happen again. Toronto's a good team. And you know what? Nobody says Toronto to make the champion, to be the Stanley Cup champions. But I'm going to say it. What do I got to lose? I'm going to get a bunch of dislikes for sure. But let me know what you guys think. Comment down below. Give me a like. Give me a subscription. Pay me on Patreon. I don't have a Patreon. Pay me some way or shape or form by sharing this kind of stuff. Hey, you know what? Toronto had a heck of an off season. I really like their off season. I think the Metro's a crazy shit show. What are you gonna do? Can't really predict anybody. Anybody can make it in there. They're just not that good. The Metro's not a good division. I think the Central's a great division. I think Pacific's a good division. I think Montreal is just not as good as these teams, even though Pittsburgh, Carolina, New York are kind of questionable. Yeah, Boston, Toronto, Tampa, Washington, Nashville, Colorado, Vegas. They're your top 7 best teams. Vegas, I think is just going to have an easy time going through the Pacific. Nashville and Colorado will fight it out. And then it'll be the rest of the, if you have any energy left, you'll play Vegas. And Vegas is full of energy and all that. And then Washington will do the same. But then Toronto, Toronto on the opposite end of the spectrum. They're kind of like the Central. They have to fight it out, but I kind of like their energy. They're younger. Just saying. Anything can happen, guys. Leafs, 14th Stanley Cup. It's happening. I'm stupid. I think I should knock on wood, but whatever. Nobody believes it, but I just want to be the one to say, okay, you know what? Let's be real here. The predictions things, they're never right. If anybody gets them right, hopefully it's me, but then they should be basically paid millions of dollars. But anyways, so that's my predictions. What the hell, guys? That's what it is. All right, see you guys later.